In my brain.
Yep, Mike, we will get an owl in here right after we get the chairs.
Chairs, actually, I think if you buy 12 chairs, you get an owl, so.
Where's chairs come?
Apparently, somehow I got elected to buy new chairs. I'm still trying to figure this one out.
There's nothing wrong with these chairs, is there? I've been in a lot worse, I'll tell you that.
They like the ones upstairs on the second floor.
There was a reason why.
They're smaller.
The, ones at the Board of Supervisors, they're impossible to adjust.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's a lever there, but you gotta be 2 men and a boy to pull the lever to make it work.
Because we got, people here. We just wanted to get it. Sit down in and out.
I dumped the coffee.
Oh,
It was atrocious.
You dumped it?
Yeah, it smelled bad, it tasted bad. You probably shouldn't drink it.
That's real
I think
good.
it's
What kind of coffee was it?
Folgers.
These hands didn't craft it, that's what happened.
Ah.
Tomorrow morning you'll come in and you'll.
It's not too late to make a flight, but
What happened?
I don't know. Phone's weird now.
Are we getting hacked?
That'd be fun.
No.
Oh, I'm joking.
You got hacked once.
Yeah, we're here.
No.
No,
Crowd.
It wasn't apropos for any crowd.
No, it was not.
How you doing, Barry?
Good, how are you?
Gary.
Good. You guys have to do all the, cyber training for the county too.
Yes.
We do. I got 3 more to go.
What a royal pain in the neck. And
I know, it's.
it happens right in the middle of budget season. And then Sean Berry throws on his 6 or 7 of them.
Yeah.
And then I got hazardous mitigation that wants to fill out about a 10-page,
Yeah, well, I have 3, I'm gonna finish by the end of the month.
I was gonna ask you.
you know, I've, the compliance, the cybersecurity one.
I know.
I failed it twice already.
No.
Well, you know what people do, they take pictures, you know?
It's like a decent way to like organize.
So when you
this part of
do
the
a
chart, and I'm like,
screenshot.
Yeah.
Where does it go?
It's easy to read.
On your phone or on your?
Got
well,
it
you know
all.
where it looks like a
I'm
phone.
doing it on, I'm probably doing it on my laptop at home.
That I know, these two might know. They do a screenshot on the computer.
Where does, when you hit a screenshot, it says, okay, it takes picture, but it disappears. Do you know where they're stored?
You're not.
You have to
I don't
save 'em.
understand the cloud either.
Because
Well, it
Because they
depends on what
basically,
you're
when
using.
I called Human Resources, they told me to do that too.
Hey, Mark.
Take,
Hey, Ryan. How's it going?
take screenshots.
Yeah, Mark, that is you. Holy cow.
What is that?
To make sure that
Hey,
it's watching.
Hey,
How you doing?
Good, you?
Well, thanks.
Yeah, Marshall. How are you?
Nice to meet you. Barry.
Over there.
It'd be easier to go around, but the chairs are huge.
The other ones are just as big, they're just not as comfortable.
Hey, Marshall. Gary.
They just make you stand up.
They're just not as comfortable.
how are you?
What's up? How are you?
Good seeing you.
Good
Bridget?
seeing you.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Anytime I can help you, Andy. Friends are for.
I will remember that offer.
Mark, did you guys go do the, what's else? Yeah, we did. How was it? It's very nice.
Very nice.
They could have made.
Had pretty good food there too.
We didn't have time to do that.
Good.
My kids have
Good
gone to
cocktails
dinner there a
also.
couple times.
Yep.
They say it's a little expensive, but it's really good food.
Didn't you go have food there?
Went there for brunch.
I went there for brunch. I think we should all go have drinks.
Yeah, this is what I figured, everywhere you go nowadays.
Well,
it's a
let's
little
do it when the
bit more expensive.
birdcage
Oh, my
is
God.
open.
Oh, birthday.
Say, I went and bought the
You
smallest
can sit out on
can
the patio.
of
Yeah.
stain. I don't know what even, tiny little thing, $9.95.
Oh, Dick Rock's like surgery.
I need to go.
I'm trying to figure out who's gouging and.
Yeah, well, probably.
I hate to think about it.
Yeah.
Have to mortgage the house.
Uh,
I think I'm gonna have.
They did, I don't know.
Can't do that, that's
Probably,
expensive.
that was gonna be my question here, is who's gonna be your treasurer?
It'll be Amanda, but she's not here.
No.
Yeah.
Be Amanda.
We will have to
Is there one in there for you?
we will,
Staff.
I haven't been to
once again, I forgot to put in
the
my.
one over by the lake house.
It'll be rather large when I finally get around.
I've been to the,
I went down, have you ever gone to Reservoir Creek for dinner?
Make that.
That was
In a manner of speaking, many.
After golf or something?
Saturday night, they have the night time.
Well, we went down there for a fish fry.
Oh,
I was not impressed.
You weren't, oh.
The food wasn't bad. I don't like the ambiance.
Oh, very nice.
I feel like I'm in a museum or something. So I see the, when you talk, it echoes.
Nick Walsh.
Yeah, I think that was.
All right, Maria, good, and you?
I mean, it's nicer than what was there.
Chairman?
Okay.
You Dan?
Good.
Who is? Yeah. Okay.
Played in a tournament there, maybe a month or so ago.
Mhm.
It was beautiful, every day leading up to it. The day we played it, absolutely poured, it was like 50.
Nick and Robert.
The reason why I.
Nick, Robert. Oh.
Was the Spring Country Club over.
I didn't know Michael
because I
Mendoza
thought
was
it
supposed to be here too.
Yeah, it's so
Oh,
true,
okay.
everything.
I've done that before.
Like I played,
You took my nameplate away.
Raven
Looking at it,
Yeah.
aren't we?
The other day, for the first time since we played with you and.
Better eyes than I do.
Yeah,
Robert.
yeah, you said course, it's really outstanding.
Is it hot or is it? Okay, it's hot.
Uh-oh.
You say you saw it out there someplace?
But I've seen it out there.
Did you like one?
Today, not today.
Saw it out there last
Yeah,
month.
that's why it's Robert.
You didn't. You weren't here last year.
Right?
I was in Alaska.
They got a great
I remember
nickname,
seeing
Mike.
your name.
Oh, we're glad you could make it.
Glad I could make this much. We went to Alaska. It was a lot of fun. Everybody in my party got COVID.
Oh, no.
Yeah, about 4 days in.
You can't leave town without getting COVID, can
Are
you?
you
No, I
kidding?
don't like it. I didn't end up with it because I think I gave it to all.
That was well appreciated too.
Boy, what a difference a few years makes, doesn't it? There weren't any jokes about that 3 years ago.
No.
It still hits everybody differently though. Like me, I had the sniffles. I think that's what ended up giving it to everybody else. But my one son ended up flat on his back for 2 weeks. So it just depends on who you are. Oh, yeah.
Picture it in mind.
I don't think it matters if you had a shot or not either.
I'm not gonna test that, Jerry. I'm gonna get my next shot, just in case. I like having just the sniffles. I don't wanna have anything more. Is it 5 already? Wow. All right. Well, so now it's 5. Let's, call the Industrial Development Agency to order. And we're gonna go around the table, introduce ourselves to Mark, and then let Mark introduce himself to us. So, new board member, Mark, I'm Mike Davis, I'm, chairman, I also am the business manager for the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers in Geneva, local Union 840.
Brian, I'm the one that begged you to come on this one.
Mark, you should have called me, I could have given you better advice.
Remember that next time, Brian, thanks.
Yeah, Mark's on with the town of South Bristol, and I'm Board of Supervisors.
Barry Kerrigan, a partner with Nixon Peabody Transaction Counsel for the IDA.
Sue Very, staff for the IDA.
Jessica Kavmark, staff.
Bridget Larson, staff.
And I'm the last one, Michael Wojak, staff.
Not the last
Andy.
No, I don't know what that is, sorry, for the comment.
Andy Maladez, I'm a board member, been on the board for, I bet it's been like 10 years now, 12 years, something like that. And I own an injection molding business in the beautiful hamlet of Honeywell.
Well, thanks, everybody. Mark Fronansky, I'm the CFO at Thompson Health. Do split my time between here and Noise Health down in Dansville, the CFO there as well. I've been in the community for, been at Thompson for 26 years. So lived in the community for about 20 years. The previous that I was in Manchester and Greece. So I've been in this room before, but on the other side of the table, issuing bonds or using the IDA or LDC to issue bonds. So, and got reached out to. I found it interesting and sort of in my wheelhouse. So appreciate having me on board.
All right,
Welcome.
Thank you.
all right.
It was a good night, too.
We can just jump right into the new business. And Geneva CSG1.
Well, we'll talk about both
One is,
community solar garden projects together.
Hi, do you mind if we sit in on your meeting?
absolutely have a seat.
Thank you very much.
If you'll recall, we talked about these at our last meeting. They are community solar projects in Geneva, right next to each other, and they will be generating about 5 megawatts of solar. There was a question last time about using local labor. We have a requirement that they use 80% local labor. Nick Walsh, who's on the call also, from, was Dimension Energy?
That's correct.
Reworked the numbers, and they will hit the 80% local labor number, which also caused Michael Indolo to redo the cost-benefit analysis, and you should have received an updated cost-benefit analysis in your packet. And then, Michael, do you want to run through that?
Sure, happy to do so. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, okay, good. So we've already gone through the entire cost benefit at the last meeting. I'll just call your attention to what changed. So what changed was the dollar value of construction spending on labor from within the region. It went from, it's now at approximately 2.2 million. Prior, I believe it was around 400,000. So about 5 times the amount previously. That ends up creating a total of 24 direct jobs in the region related to construction, 16 indirect jobs, and then the total job creation during construction, which is direct and indirect, is 40 jobs, earning $3.2 million. So that is the change. The one change was on the construction side. We ran the models. Those are the numbers that came up. I'm happy to go through the rest of the report, but I know the board's already seen it, so.
Did anybody have questions on the cost-benefit analysis?
Yeah, where is it?
It's, tab 2, page 8 in the blue section. Well, part of it is there. There's a little bit before that, which shows the construction phase, and then the fiscal impact right underneath it.
As you'll recall, we did have a public hearing for each project. There were no comments made at the public hearing.
Michael, besides the pilot support, how much investment is the company actually making themselves into this project?
What's the total dollar value of the investment?
By the company?
Is that what you're asking, or how much is the company investing of their cash?
The company's total investment.
Yes, I believe the company's total I don't have the number right in front of me, but I believe it was around the $9 to $10 million mark. Actually, Nick, do you happen to have that number? I don't have the application in front of me right now.
Yes, I don't have the exact number in front of me right now, but you're correct.
Oh, here it is. I'm sorry. I do have it, $8.3 million in the total cost of construction. So that does not include certain costs that would be around like financing and legal costs, the cost of construction. That's my understanding.
And that's for each project.
Yeah.
Correct.
When you're saying total cost of construction, is that the total cost that the company is putting into this project?
That's my
Yes.
understanding. That is both labor and materials.
that, I'm just trying to emphasize that the company is putting up in terms of their investment.
Yes,
And the total project cost is, again, roughly?
Cost to construction is $8.3 million. The total cost is a bit more than that, but again, it's non-construction items like financing costs and legal costs. So the cost of construction is 8.3.
Let me try to ask this question a third time in a different way. What I'm interested in knowing is the total cost of the project, everything combined, and out of the total cost, how much money is the company putting in? How much of their skin is in this game on this project?
Oh, I understand. I apologize. I understand your question now. That I'd have to pass that question on to Nick. I don't have that financial statement that would talk about sources of capital.
Yeah,
I
I'm
have
happy to
the
jump in.
application if you want to see it.
What's that?
I have the application if you want to see it.
Well, if it's not here, I'd like to see it because the whole premise of this, just to give you some background, is that on these solar projects, we're looking at giving them pilot assistance. And I get that you've done your analysis, but from a taxpayer's perspective, I'd like to know is what's the total project and how much the company's investment is. And, really when you look at it, how much private investment is being made versus public investment. So if you're looking for the taxpayers of Ontario County to give these pilot assistance, I'd like to know what portion of that is paid, what the company is putting forth, how much skin they have in the game.
Nick, did you get that question?
Jump in?
Go ahead, yeah.
Can you guys hear me? Okay. Yeah, so the project will be fully funded by Dimension. That'll come in a mix of financing mechanisms. There's some tax equity financing, there's some debt financing, but we are funding the project completely.
You're cutting out on, I'm only hearing part of your answer because of whether it's the internet connection or not. So could you repeat that again, please?
Sure, yes, I'm sorry. I am on the road, so I may not have a great connection, but the project will be fully funded by our company. It'll be, not all cash on hand. We will obviously be using some financing mechanisms, tax equity and debt financing and those kind of things, but we are funding the entire project.
To clarify, I think to that point, are there any NYSERDA grants or any other sort of public, state, local grants that are assigned to either project? We will be applying a NYSERDA grant to the project, which obviously comes once the project is built. So yes, there will be some NYSERDA funding that comes on the tail end of the project. And that's the only sort of grant or expected sort of public source of funds for these two projects, other than obviously the federal ITC money?
That's correct.
Brian, maybe the confusion is because the pilot is tax abatement, not construction costs, right? So he's saying we're paying all the construction costs, and they are.
I get the tax abatement part. What I'm after is what is the total project cost? And if the total project cost is, I'm just going to, whether it's 10 million, 8.3. So the company is putting up 8.3 million.
That's what they're saying, yeah.
That's what I was trying to get.
I know.
It's 8.45.
8.45 million.
Is that between the two or just for one?
That's just for one.
I can pull up the other one.
The other one is the same.
So it's 16 million total. Yep.
The whole premise, Andy, in some of these projects across the state, the private developers aren't bellying up to the bar with a significant investment.
Yeah.
And that they're subsidizing a project like this, not just on maybe getting tax abatements that help, transition the project, but also taxpayers' money, federal tax credits. So that's why I'm curious, because, you know, in some of the research that has been presented overall, and separate from, I'm not bashing the folks that are in front of us, but that the financial viability of solar only gets there with the use of taxpayer dollar assistance, whether it's through tax abatements or tax credits that the federal government provides. And so that's really why I was interested in saying, okay, out of 8.45, that the company's putting up 8.45. And obviously, I know we're giving, or we're proposing to give them pilot assistance. Is there any other, does this project viability on its own, or is there other tax incentives and credits that they're getting to make these projects financially viable?
Just the mechanisms we've already discussed, the NYSERDA grant and the federal investment tax credit.
And the investment tax credits are coming from who?
Federal.
Federal government.
And what's the level of federal tax investment credits?
We aim to achieve 30% on this project.
Sufficient? Move on? Good, sure. Okay. Any other questions for Mike or Nick?
Yeah, of the 40 jobs that you've described, direct and indirect for during construction phase, those jobs are then go away after 3 months, I would presume, or something like that?
That's correct. We report the jobs, just to be clear, we report the jobs on an FTE basis, right? So, so yes, they would only be applicable during the period of construction. We don't have any jobs during operations for this project.
I've debated this in the past with our entire board, and Mike, you know what I'm talking about.
I know.
40 jobs for 3 months is wonderful for the people that have it for 3 months, but I think we should be talking about trying to create a bigger flow of people.
But you also know what I'm gonna say.
I know you do.
Construction work is temporary by nature, but the construction employment is something that people use year round and feed their family with year round. I've been an electrician for over 30 years. I did that by stringing one temporary job to the next temporary job to the next temporary job. They're all temporary by nature in construction, but the classification of electrician is permanent. Those are the type of things that we feed our families with.
But we give a pretty good break here for,
Not saying we're not.
we give a pretty good break here for somebody who's only employing somebody for 3 months. The other question I have, and this isn't for the individual asking for the arrangement. 15-year pilot agreements, that's somewhat uncommon, isn't it? I mean, my recollection over the years is 10 at best.
Well, Dan, actually, we have a comparison of different counties' pilot programs for energy in our packet somewhere, I think. The packet print. And it'll show you, 15 years is pretty common.
So the intent of 15 years is to match a similar pilot availability under real property tax law, section 487, which allows a company to negotiate a pilot directly for renewable energy type projects above 1 megawatt with a term not to exceed 15 years. And so that's why it's sort of longer than the typical 10-year pilot. The New York State also came out with a solar assessment model for how these are supposed to be valued from a property tax standpoint. And it's a discounted cash flow model. So it starts a little bit higher, but then decreases over time. A new model comes out every year. And the last time that this was valued, which is what this cost benefit would have been based on, was from 2020, because then there were some lawsuits filed, of course, that sort of limited the implementation. But that's when interest rates were at 0. Now with the interest rates being much higher, the expectation is that discounted cash flow model will further show a reduced value for all these projects going forward. So the value that's shown in here may may actually overstate the anticipated taxes without a pilot.
Yeah, I think year 12, if I remember, was about where they would probably say the pilot's over with. So we
year
won't go
12,
the full 15 years in this.
the pilot being 5,000 per megawatt, increasing by 2% a year, and the discounted cash flow method starting at a higher number and declining over time, there will be an inversion. It's currently showing in year 12, and if the value that we start with is overstated due to the interest rate cost of capital being adjusted in the model, that inversion could even happen sooner.
I don't want to get in the weeds on the job thing, but I thought I heard 3.2 million in payroll.
Yes.
How do you get 40 jobs, 3.2 million in
It's funny,
3 months?
funny you should ask that. That was gonna be my next argument with Dan. Just some of the stuff that we put forth years ago, people would make $22,000. These guys that are working on the solar field will make probably double that in 3 months. That's frustrating.
Yeah, but those numbers still don't add up. That's 80,000 a year.
Operators and operators, laborers, and electrician. I can speak to electrician, total package is $70 an hour.
70.
Then you add on top what the contractor makes and everything else, you get up to 3 million pretty fast.
Just listening to your argument, everybody gets the want and desire to create jobs, and if you look at this as the life of the pilot, 15 years, the construction jobs, whether it's 3 million or 2.8 million, it's how long? Less than a year. Well, these jobs for this project, construction jobs. So we're given a 15-year abatement for 1 year, even if you said, okay, let's say it was spread over 2 years. That really, the impact of this project on employment is a short-term influx of construction jobs, which I love, I support. My dad was a union member, so I get that piece. But on the flip side of it, when you're looking at the abatement over 15 years, and there's really no measurable long-term gain of jobs. And I think this is where, the premise of the IDA and trying to provide tax assistance was, to me, it was always the understanding of creating hopefully a greater emphasis on long-term jobs. Construction jobs, great, but what's the long-term impact to the community in terms of employment? And the numbers don't seem to be very significant on the long term.
I would give you that for one project, but there's not just one project going out throughout the area. And there is, though they don't put it here, there are 3 or 4 jobs that are created for every solar site for technicians to run around and make sure that there's operating properly and take data. My son actually does that throughout the state.
So why wouldn't that be part of the analysis?
I don't do the analysis, so I don't know.
Well, but,
I don't know.
but Mike, I know where you're coming from, but I'm also trying to get you to understand that from this perspective, when we're on the board and we're asked to serve and we're looking at tax abatements, and, I think you went on the tour today, there's a lot of controversy once details start coming out about the amount of financial assistance that the Lake House got, and based on what? So again, it's not an antagonistic sort of thing, but I think we have a responsibility to ask these questions.
On the jobs component, the part of that may be from our sort of recommendation, the way the jobs are set up and required to be reported and analyzed under the current regulations. They have to work at the site for a certain number of hours a week to convert to an FTE. And since the jobs that will be here, whether it be for maintenance, for mowing, snow clearing, sort of safety checks, they will do that for this project and many other projects, but they won't be at this one site every day to sort of qualify as a job for this project. And that's why all these sort of solar jobs have 0, even though they will have people associated to work at this site. They just don't qualify for the reporting mechanism for the IDA.
but there is a sense of quote unquote, even on a partial or part-time FTE, what that number would be on an annual basis, wouldn't you?
You could, sort of, and we could obviously for future projects ask to sort of quantify whether it be if they're gonna hire a management company, what that spend is, or how many hours they expect this person to be there per week, and at least try to sort of quantify that. But we wouldn't be reporting on that annually to the state, because it wouldn't qualify.
Yeah, I get that piece. There's a lot of things that the state doesn't require that they should, and there's a lot of things that the state requires that they shouldn't. So, but you know, when I'm looking at it as perspective as a taxpayer, in Ontario County, what is Ontario County really going, Ontario County is what's gonna really benefit the county or not. So if you got, even on a part that you don't have to report to the state, but if you have, I'm just using a number of 5 part-time employees, are they live in Ontario County, or they live in Yonkers?
Sure.
And that, to me, makes a difference when you're looking at trying to give a company a 15-year pilot program, is my point. Because this, I think sometimes we lose the focus that this is about Ontario County, and what's Ontario County going to get or not get? And that's really where I'm coming from. You know, I've served on the Board of Supervisors, you know, I've been a state legislator for 20 years, and it's just ingrained to me to always be looking out for the people I represent. And that's, you know, and that's the businesses and, you know, the taxpayers. That's just where I'm coming from. I got no other agenda.
Just, I wanna, do we have a figure on what this land was as far as what it was producing in taxes prior? I don't think.
It was an orchard.
So, on that topic, I will just say, we are reporting the net figure, the net increase, above the land tax that's already present. So we're not including, we are not including in our numbers the amount that is already being paid on the land.
Mm-hmm.
That's always paid. We don't ever discount that.
And what is that number?
Well, I'm trying to nail down the difference of what was sitting there versus what will be sitting there, what each entity was paying.
That's an important number.
You also have to consider what else could be sitting there.
Well, on page 9, they have, full property taxes of $65,000, with a pilot payment of $25,000. So what's below that is somewhat irrelevant, because it's getting taxed at full value. So say the land was worth $20 million, we were taxing it at $20 million. We'd still get the $20 million, that taxable base. So that doesn't change. That's kind of like out of the analysis. We've never put, land is never,
Land doesn't go in.
land never goes into a pilot. Okay. So this is, everything we're doing is the improvements to the land, not the land itself. That make sense?
We're exempting the improvements to the land,
Just
Not-
solar arrays.
not the land itself.
Yeah, that isn't how I've looked at it in the past. I think I've come at it the same way Mike is, that one of the, call it an indirect benefit of what we do is we encourage development of land into property that's taxed at a higher rate than it had been, perhaps for some long period of time.
That is correct, but the land itself is always taxed separate. It's always in our calculation, it's always taxed at whatever.
Oh, I see, you're saying whatever it was taxed,
Like when, yeah,
it's still being taxed at that, and that's a separate.
Mhm.
yeah.
Oh,
Like when you get a tax bill, you
that's
see
even better.
property value, land
Yeah.
value.
Yeah, and Brian, I say this as much for me as I do for you, because this is a good number to look at. It is 15 years, but it's $242,000 over 15 years. Not that that's chump change, but we're talking about, apparently, even though it doesn't work in my math, $3.2 million worth of jobs in exchange for $242,000 spread out over 15 years.
Sorry,
it-
just
to me,
a point of clarification. The number that you're referring to is the value of the abatement, 242,000. The value of the actual pilots that are gonna be made are 432,000.
That's correct, yeah. But the discount, we'll call, it's 242,000 in
Yes,
exchange for 3.2 million in jobs. Doesn't sound like a bad deal. I mean, it doesn't sound like who would do that? Sounds like, okay, that kind of makes sense. Would you disagree, or?
It's not about disagreeing. I'm just looking for information.
Sure.
So, and as you can tell, even on this back and forth, there's, all the information's not there. It's not really presented in a clear manner. And so that's what prompts questions. And from my perspective, that's why I asked what I started with. If it's an $8.45 million project, forget the taxes for a minute. How much is the company putting in? What's their investment? What's their risk to this project? And I get the jobs. I have no quarrel with that. It's really just trying to understand, before we give any money away, whether it's 200,000 or 100,000 of Ontario taxpayer money, you just want to fully understand what the total picture is in terms of the project, the investment, the jobs, and then if you will, the net cost what investment we're making. And all I'm saying, with at least what I've seen so far, we get gobs of information, but nothing that's really clear from A to B to C to D. And that's not pointing fingers at anybody. I'm just saying, if you're sitting here looking at it, you're trying to make sense of what we're doing and why we're doing it and who's benefiting and who's not.
Yep.
And I don't think all of this paper clearly states that. So it's easy for even somebody like me to go through it and say, yeah, this is a good decision.
Right. Which is why it's really good that you're asking questions.
Much to the chagrin of a few at this table, I think.
No. All right, any other questions? Okay, motion, if everybody wants to make it.
I got lost. What are we looking for? A resolution to authorize and induce? Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Separately.
Separately.
Let's do them separately. Separately. Yeah. You doing one?
I'm doing, yeah.
I'll second it. Nothing else for further discussion. Think we have more discussion on it? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
3 ayes, 2 nays, motion's defeated. Right? Gotta have 4. All right,
We have to vote on 2.
go ahead and do 2.
I'll make that motion
I'll second
also.
it. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Motion defeated. All right. On to the next order of business.
Delco Technoplex request. Delco, as you'll recall, is a company in Bloomfield and Honeylake. They used to be called Commodore and became Delco or Technoplex about 2018. They do have a pilot on building in Honeylake. They built a 125,000 square foot warehouse in Honeylake. And what they want to do is, Technoplex is their parent company, and Technoplex wants to sell the building to a company that does sales lease back. So they would sell the building and then lease it back. And in order to transfer transfer's not the right word, but,
To sell the building.
Which building?
But you wanna move the pilot to the,
yes.
move's not the right word either. Transfer was a better word.
Assign.
Fine, that's it.
Reassigned.
Which building is being sold?
The
Bloomfield or?
Bloomfield buildings and, I think the Honeywell too.
So the request is to transfer the pilot to the,
Transfer's the wrong word.
So,
Assign.
yeah, it's part of a sale leaseback transaction where a new, company would come in and buy the building from the operators, but the operators would then enter into a long-term lease with the new owner. So the jobs, the operations, all of that will stay the same. And, the expectation, these transactions, it would be a triple net lease. So the, operator would be responsible for paying taxes, so they'd still be getting the benefit. But our IDA documents say that they can't obviously sell, the real estate without the IDA's consent. So we'd have to consent to them to do this. Obviously, if they sell their building and then enter into a long-term lease, they would get the sort of sale proceeds and be able to, reinvest in their business and do whatever they want to with
So
proceeds.
they're gonna sell the building, but they're gonna continue to do business within the building.
Correct. The company that they're selling to is Realty Advisors. They're out of New York City.
Yeah.
And,
lot of-
and that's what they specialize in, is sale, leaseback.
Yeah, a lot of
Exactly.
industrial space has been purchased, and then entered into long-term lease because it's, they use it as a financing mechanism.
So how do we feel about our leverage in a situation like that if they don't, achieve or maintain employment goals that were established when the pilot was initiated with Commodore, let's say, whoever it initially was with?
Well, Dalco is still gonna be operating in those buildings.
That's right. But
Yeah.
how's our leverage if,
As part of the sort of, assignment, the way we would see it is we would still enter into an agreement with the operator for all of those covenants. So the job requirements, wouldn't be eliminated and wouldn't go to the, new sale leaseback owner.
understood?
Would still be on the hook. As far as leverage goes, I mean, we could still terminate the transaction if there's a default, if they don't meet the employment,
And there's,
covenants.
yeah, and
Yeah.
there's only a little bit of
I
time
think
left.
there's 2 years left
I
on
think
it.
there's 2 years left on the pilot.
Wow, time flies.
Yeah, it does.
Okay, so you could terminate the transaction. The transaction of assigning the
Well,
pilot?
we could terminate the pilot altogether if there was a material default
Right.
in the employment covenant.
And they say, go ahead, it's with our landlord.
Sure. But we would have as part of the assignment, the landlord would be, with the lease back.
Yeah.
And then we'd have an agreement with the tenant, as well. So we'd have sort of separate agreements. And if we needed to terminate the landlord's agreement because the tenant wasn't living up to the covenants, we could do that. And obviously, the remedy would put it back on the tax roll. Since there's only 2 years left, the recapture period's probably ended. So our only remedy would just be to put it back on the tax roll.
So you're comfortable with it, is what you're saying?
Yeah, and we've done this in other transactions in Ontario County as well. JW Danforth, I think, was the last one we did a couple of months ago, sale leaseback.
2 years. I'd move that we go ahead and approve the.
Sure, now you're all agreeable.
It's an agreeable decision.
I have a motion, I have a second, any discussion? All those in favor of accepting the pilot amendment?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, carried. On to the City of Geneva request.
And disagree.
That's it. Yeah, scroll down to the minute.
This is more just informational. They'll be putting together, actual, resolution for us to vote on next month. They want to do some improvement on this part, and it's for a, ramp accessibility, but we own a sliver of where the ramp is going to go through.
The little yellow circle at the bottom of
There you
that
go.
map. Yeah.
That's us.
That's us.
Why do we own that?
It
originally part of the Geneva industrial area, and we were kind of co-owners for years.
So now they're gonna put a trail in order to get to make the trail accessible. They have a ramp that goes up and back and up, and on one of those ups or backs, we happen to own it.
So I thought we got it through the railroad or something.
Is that the railroad adjacent to it?
No,
No,
that's
okay.
the Geneva Industrial Park.
All right. Well, then I don't-
Like at the top of
We
the
own
picture,
it.
that's Guardian.
We co-bought that years ago. I think it was even before I was here.
So the Geneva IDA will
I think.
I think it's next
No, no.
week, they have their meeting,
It's in
and they'll vote on a resolution to ask us to give them the easement. That's
So
the
that's just
information.
information?
Yeah.
All right.
You'll see a resolution next month, and now you'll know what it's for.
We'll do the UTEP update. Ryan and Barry.
So we gave you a couple pieces of paper that are really difficult to read, but it was just to kind of get a flavor for what we are gonna, start to embark on. Yep. And one of them was referenced already, on solar, projects, and this big piece of paper is on housing projects. These are some of, what our neighboring or other counties in the state are doing as far as both solar and housing projects. Right now, we don't really have a mechanism in our UTEP to, do anything different than what we've always done. So the governance committee, will start to get together over the coming months, to discuss if we want to change, if we do what we want it to look like, for both of those things, because we would like to run them side by side. And then we'll start to make some recommendations back to the full board. This really is just as an update, just to give you an idea of what we're going to be working on over the next probably 8-9 months anyway. Right? And Barry's will have some more information for us, and we'll start meeting pretty soon. I would say that we'll kick this off before the first of the year, and hopefully start making some recommendations next year. This will go alongside the county's housing assessment and any plans that the Board of Supervisors may be putting forth. But also, the reason why we put solar in there too is obviously we've done things a certain way and it's changed. So we have to change along with it. And that way we can, act more, as a cohesive unit when we start bringing solar projects in front of us. We're all speaking the same language because we've all come onto this at different times. So we're gonna have our rules written by us, which makes sense. So again, big chart, just a thought starter. All these will be gone over by the governance committee. Anything to add on there?
No, I mean, no, and then I'm gonna add on a bunch of things. So yes, I think the chart that we sort of put together was just sort of intended to show what other IDAs are doing in this space. There's a few sort of different examples in here, but generally speaking, there was pilots offered for affordable housing, and some use the federal tax code for what's affordable. Some people will use different definitions that include workforce housing, and we're happy to go through what all of those different segments mean. And then there's market rate housing as well. And as you could imagine, there's different level of benefits depending on how many affordable units there are typically as part of this. And then are there any other sort of asks or requirements that would be unique to Ontario County? That's something we'll discuss obviously as well. Is there better sort of pilots needed for infrastructure investments or things like that that could be sort of discussed in a more holistic fashion. As far as the renewable energy side and solar pilots, we're happy to discuss that obviously as well as what other IDAs are doing, and as the state sort of continually evolves the process and and how they value these projects, we're happy to sort of have discussion on that as well.
Just to give you an idea, after the county housing study was completed, 2 different developers have already reached out to us to say, hey, we saw that you guys did a study. Ontario County's interested in doing housing development, but we might be interested in coming to the county, so we really have to prepare ourselves. That way, also, just as a normal mechanism of the board, that way we're not going back and doing a deviation from our UTEP. If we deviate from our UTEP every single time we have somebody coming to do a request, then it's not really a UTEP at all. It's just a bunch of deviations, so we should write the rules the way we want them to be written.
Okay, any questions on that? Now, we'll move on to the budget.
So before you dig into the numbers, Michael.
Sure. Hey, excuse me. This says, we need a motion to begin the update process on the UTEP. I don't know why we would, but that's what it says.
We need a motion to bring the governance committee together. I think we're all set.
Thank you.
We can have that open.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think you need a motion. It was just informational. Obviously, the governance committee, I think, will review and make a recommendation, and then the full board will review. And at that point, we'll have a motion to amend.
All right, budget. Before we get into the full budget, first I want to thank the Finance and Airport Committee for meeting last Friday afternoon. We're just meeting on a Friday afternoon. Thank you. It was a difficult conversation for all of us to have. The committee and members of the board that are on that committee and staff, there was a lot of time and effort put into this particular budget. Michael and I went through all of it, pillar to post. We've presented more information this year than I think we have in years past, because it's important for us to understand the situation that we're in and how we're going to address that situation as we move forward, not just as an agency, but also when you're dealing with the airport as a property and an asset to the county. You'll notice top line stuff as far as revenues go. Michael has put in there as a projection of $300,000 worth of revenues over the next 4 years, which is the look ahead that he normally does. I want to speak to that before Michael starts going line by line for you, just an agency budget wise. In order for us to have that type of revenue, you're talking about $30 to $40 million worth of development to get to the $300,000 number for revenue for this agency. Okay, that for year 2024, we're comfortable as a staff putting forth that number. As you start to try to look out, it shouldn't be an alarm, but the comfort level may be less. There's some things to keep in mind as you start to look at $30 to $40 million worth of development that are specific to this county and things that we will have to address as this IDA and you will be addressing as the Board of Supervisors. So in 2021, a study was done by the planning department to get a list of sites countywide. Developable sites countywide, and the parameters that they set were 5 acres and above, just to give you an idea of what the net is. Currently, or as of 2021, 53 sites countywide, 5+ acres that met. They were vacant, zoned light industrial, 5+ acres, and had sewer available. It did not address water. There was a map that kind of overlaid the water situation. I could put it up there, but it is impossible to read. It's just, there's blue blotches where water is. It wouldn't make a lot of sense. Let's just say that countywide, there's a lot of municipal water in cities and villages. And as you get further away from city and village center, there is less municipal water, okay? 41 additional sites that don't meet one of those criteria. So it may not be vacant, it may not be zoned correctly. It is 5+ acres, it might not have sewer. So in the county as of 2021, you're about 90, give or take, sites at 5+ acres. 5+ acres isn't a great deal of land. There is a listing of every one of those. Some of them are, 30, some of them are 90. It's a give and take. But what I'm trying to get at is the idea of being able to pull $40 million worth of development in the county off of those 90 sites is difficult, because they may not all have what we need. The water question on the western side of the county deals with, so Canandaigua Lake Supply. The DEC allows for 9 million gallons per day. That number's not gonna change. That would supply water for the town and city of Canandaigua, town of Farmington, town of Bloomfield, town of Gorham, Naples, Hopewell, Manchester, and Phelps. I think I got them all.
Bristol Harbor.
I'm sorry, Bristol. The effective functional supply of that water, so what the city of Canandaigua can actually pump for all those towns is 7.8 million. What we are currently drawing off the lake is about 6.8. So there's about 1 million gallons of water left over for all those towns to develop with those 90 sites that may or may not have sewer. And when you go to the east, the question is less of water and it's more wastewater and sewer. There is a constant fight back and forth between city and town of Geneva and anybody else that's surrounding the city to how they're going to supply the sewer capacity for everybody outside of the city. You don't have to look too far if you go into Route 14 coming out of the city of Geneva into the town of Phelps. There is a great deal of properly zoned vacant land with water and no sewer. So the idea that we would be able to do large-scale development on Route 14 is not realistic at this time. Power is where it gets really scary. Really scary. Met with a company from Phelps the other day that's looking to expand, good little manufacturing shop, 25, 30 employees, wants to build a new building, looking at a place in the town of Manchester. What NICEAG and RG&E are telling them is if you pick a lot of land that needs no improvement to transmission, this is not a power production conversation, it is just transmission. If you pick one that has a transformer on the pole out in front of the lot that you're looking at, good job. Yeah. If you did not pick that lot, 18 to 24 months. So somebody that comes in front of this board this year would not put shovel in ground until nearly the end of this budget projection, which is where it gets scary. And then, of course, the things that we deal with on a month-to-month basis and stuff that I consistently put in front of you is the housing, workforce development, talent, retention, and recruitment. Those are all issues that every IDA, every board, every county is going to be facing. That's not different here or anywhere else. I just wanted to give you an overview of some of the challenges for us to hit that $300,000 number every single year. They are very real, and it should draw us to focus on addressing those challenges as we move forward. And I think it's something that you have all championed over the past few months as you start to ask me to engage with the Board of Supervisors and the county administration to take over airport operation, which is a huge weight on our budget. There's no real other way to put it. The numbers don't, it's not a secret. If you look at what we're producing, what we're bringing in and what we're spending, we know where we're spending it and how much we are spending. So again, it was a good conversation last Friday. It was a necessary conversation, but as we consider this budget for next year, and I know that we have had informal discussions about me starting to talk to the administrators and to the Board of Supervisors, and those have been happening. I would feel more comfortable if we are going to ask the Board of Supervisors to take any significant role in airport operation or funding of the airport in any meaningful way. If I had some action from this board, I don't think it has to be resolution. I think it's more of a directive. If you want to vote on it and say, Ryan, you have to engage with the Board of Supervisors and the county administrators so we can actually start more of a formal conversation rather than just an education of the supervisors. And with that, I will take a sip of water. And Michael will lead you through the numbers, unless you have any questions for me.
I just want to make sure I heard what you said. You want the board to direct you to go to the Board of Supervisors and do what we've talked about you doing.
Yeah, I think we just need to formalize it rather than.
Okay, I understand. Now I understand.
It's a seaway. I mean, and it would be, I want to make sure as we make progress in those conversations, I'm doing it in a way that that you, the board, feels comfortable with. I don't want to come back to you in another couple months and say, hey, guys,
I caught it.
we made a great deal, and then I tell you what the Board of Supervisors is willing and able to do, and you all look at me like, that's not at all what we want. My recommendation to this board to start with, after Michael and I went through these numbers and sat with the FAA and went through the CIP with McFarland Johnson, sorry, I'm throwing a lot of letters, the capital improvement plan with our consultant, at the minimum, this would be the minimum. I think that we have to ask for the county board of supervisors to at least take over airport operations. And then we can have a further discussion about who would deal with capital improvement on that asset over time. But I think that would be the very bare bones minimum. Because as you will see, and what we presented to you and given to you for information is, once you get to the end of that 4-year budget projection, when you hit year 2027, we are dangerously close to being out of money. And that took, for us to be able to present a positive cash position in 2027, Michael and I had to go back to the drawing board multiple times with McFarland to discuss what the capital improvement plan would look like. This is a very real issue. One that Andy, I remember sitting in this room last year as only 4 months on the job, listening to this very conversation, and I got the message loud and clear. It was time to look at it. And in looking at it and trying to project what we're going to do for development in this county over the next half decade, it doesn't look like it would be a wise choice for us to continue to try to go it alone. As a matter of fact, it would look like a suicide mission. It's time to engage. I don't know what the Board of Supervisors will say, but I'm going to present to them the same challenges that I just kind of highlighted to all of you, the same budget and the same numbers that you are going to vote on tonight, they're going to see. We've already shared them with the Administrator's Office and some of the Board of Supervisors. They understand full well why I've been asking for them to go out there, why we've taken tours with them, and why I presented to the PEQ. They know. But now it's time to formalize what the ask is going to look like. And I think that would be the minimum first step.
Mm-hmm. Well, on top of that, I think it would also be prudent, you highlighted the concerns about infrastructure, sewer, water, power. Mm-hmm. And I think, quite frankly, I think that you should engage with the board and the administration on all those topics. And so, for instance, in dealing with NYSEG and RG&E, what's going to be the outreach? We're going to use your state and federal representatives to say, you know, we can't wait 2 years to get a transformer put up on a pole. They just got, the utilities just got approved, I think it was a 19% rate increase that we're all going to be paying shortly. And it was half of what they asked for. And so, and then you got this intermix of state energy policy that quite frankly is driving people out of this state. Especially as more and more people find out that they can't have a natural gas stove going forward if they want to replace a furnace in 2035. So, I mean, I'm not saying you're not having those conversations, but you talked about housing, you've talked about infrastructure, water, sewer, power, and the airport obviously is part of that. So to me, I think you almost have to have dialogue on all those topics. And then I think it's great that you were able to segment what this is. We have this issue over on the west side, we have this issue over on the east side, and then we've got affordable housing issues everywhere. And so, because you can't do economic development if every time you turn around, your hands are tied with limitations of infrastructure.
There's a couple things that I'm glad you brought up. I smirked when you said the rate hike because I was in a meeting with the Canandaigua LDC was it late last week? And it was a NYSEG representative that was there, and I was talking to him about some of these issues, but what he presented to the CLDC was this, and I will put it out there because, he says, we asked what we could do to help him, and he said that, you know, the rate hike, if you wouldn't mind trying to advocate for it, they would be appreciative. That did not go over very well with the room. We said that he could go ahead and do that one on his own. But what he did mention, all joking aside, he's less concerned with, about the production of power and advocacy on that behalf. He's really, the transmission is the issue. So any state and federal money that we can get to help with bolstering our transmission of power would go a long way. For us locally, in the here and now, because every one of these things, to your point, Brian, are going to be on different tracks, all going at the same time. When you advocate to our state representatives, the Fast New York program was drastically underfunded last time, and it was the most funding it had ever received. $200 million sounds like an awful lot of money. There's other states in the country that are putting in that for one development site. Just to give you an idea, we put in an application for $14 million. Fairlife and Webster was given $20 million of the $200 million. Micron is going to get lots of it. Deservedly so. I mean, it's a huge site, so they need a lot of money. But, you know, so don't we. So that the advocacy for that program to our state representatives is important as we go into the next budget year for the state. To your point about our talking with the Board of Supervisors, engaging with them about the infrastructure piece, I was excited last year when we had our infrastructure talk at FLCC with those that are dealing with water out of Canandaigua Lake. It was very well attended, and there was an awful lot of good discussion. We want to continue that with the East and talking about sewer, wastewater, drilling. But I think more importantly, as we start to put that together, we're going to have a real conversation with all of our municipal leaders and some of our business leaders so they can understand that list of things that I just talked about. Because they may not all. Some of them may have, you know, they'll know the manpower issue. They all know that very well. We've done a pretty good job of broadcasting that we need to address housing in this county, and I think everybody's starting to get that too. But I think some people, when I told the couple that own the Phelps business about a possibility of an 18-month to 24-month lag time on building their new building, the guy's heart dropped out of his chest. It was a kick in the gut to a small business owner. And NICEAG's response, by the way, at the LDC meeting was most businesses have a 5-year look ahead as far as expansion. And all of us in the room, and I have to credit Randy Barnsworth on this one too, he said, you're out of your mind. You're not talking about the 15, 20-person shop. They don't have a 5-year look ahead. They have a, holy mackerel, we're way more busy this year than we were 2 years ago. It's time to expand. So those are some things that we have to help these business owners and our municipalities understand. And, you know, probably gently nudge NICEAG to helping us address them.
I think this is a golden opportunity to start addressing these things with the Board of Supervisors of the County Minister. The housing study alone has made it very clear that we've got infrastructure problems, big time. You know, my little town has no infrastructure, but other places could easily attach. You know, and I think that I would say the Board of Supervisors is going to be wide open to discussion on it at this stage of the game. As far as the airport, that might be a tougher battle, but I still think personally, I would advocate for that all day long.
That sounds like a motion.
I would move that you reach out to the county administrator and the Board of Supervisors to start these discussions.
Do you want a formal motion?
I think I need one. I would be more comfortable with
Then
it.
just say that.
Yeah.
I need a motion from you if you agree.
We need a motion.
So move.
All right.
I already moved it.
Gary moved it.
Not gonna second it.
All right, there we go.
But I think
We're gonna second.
what Ryan
I gotta
said,
wait for.
Here we go.
he wants something more specific than go talk to him.
Right.
Yeah,
And
I think,
so you don't come back and say, I did what you asked, and then we say, well, that's not what we meant.
I think I can take that as the minimum ask, like I laid out to all of you, that you want me to go ahead and at least go after that amount.
Well, let's get through the budget, and then I think it might be more clear just what exactly has to happen.
I don't picture any type of opposition opposition from county administration, especially when it comes to whatever we can do to improve housing and do whatever. I just don't see any reason why he would be opposed to something like that.
No, I'm just talking about the airport. No,
The airport's a different story.
Yeah.
But, you know, I've only been there 20 years. Brian, you can go back farther than me. There apparently at some time, many years ago, a whole lot of opposition to the county operating that airport. And I think personalities were probably a part of it. I don't know, but, you know, it's a whole new board. Maybe things would change. All I gotta do is look at Monroe County. They run their airport. There's a lot of counties run their airport. Most of them probably run their airport.
There's not a lot of IDA run airports.
I think you're gonna find out that they have to.
Almost all of them, because they don't make money.
The bigger we get is where the real draw starts hitting.
Right.
You know, it's bigger.
From an economic point of view, a quality airport's a big deal.
All right, so we've got a motion and a second that Ryan discusses with the administrative, the board of supervisors at airport. Thanks. The motion and a second. Any other discussion? All.
I think it has to be more specific than that. I think he would,
You need something more specific?
I think I'm good with, just starting to engage the board of supervisors and the
I
county
think the
administrator.
board needs to be more specific. That's what I don't care if he thinks we need to be more specific. I'm not doing it for him.
Yeah,
I,
serious.
I think the county needs to take over operation of the airport. Not,
You would prefer him to go in there and say, we want you to take over the airport, end of discussion, or you're gonna have to ease, I think you gotta ease into it.
I've said this a couple of times, we should go through the budget, because maybe when you understand the situation, you might feel like a little bit more pointed direction is worthwhile.
At the end of the day, it's still gonna be an ask, I guess is what everybody's trying to say, Andy. It's gonna be an ask. We're not gonna, you can't go in there and say, we want you to do this and expect anything to happen. We're gonna have to kind of ease our way into it.
No,
Well, there's no way that anything like this is gonna happen without some probably negative effect on the tax rate. You know, and
I'm not saying this is what Ryan has to say to them. I think the board has to be clear in terms of what we're telling Ryan needs to happen. And not everybody has seen the budget in its latest form, and I think I would ask that we get through that before we say, hey, go have a chat with the Board of Supervisors.
That's fine. I agree.
We'll continue, and Mike's presentation will be part of the discussion for that motion. How's that sound? So Mike, go ahead.
Thank you.
There we go.
Appreciate that.
Okay, over here. Okay, so I will, so the first thing we'll talk about is the top page. Top page is the agency. As you know, that's what we're meeting here talking about this. So I just want to talk about the first number is the $300,000 for agency fees. If you'll take a look at the history, it seems to be just a tad low, but like it says, we've been slowing up over the last couple of years. So we're going to keep it at $300,000 for next year, and that's it. Interest and miscellaneous revenues, you see it, that kind of whittles down over the course of time. We'll explain that a little bit later, because you can see our cash at the time will start to whittle down. Right now, we're about $1.4 million in the bank, so we're starting this projection off with about $1.4 million, and we'll see where that goes over the next 4 years. Okay. Okay. For the most of the expenses down here, the main one here is our contract with Ontario County. For those of you who are new, the contract states there's a fixed amount. Ours is about $70,000. We keep our time, EDC, IDA, all these different companies. When we go over that time, then we start paying, then the county or the IDA will start paying the county. We haven't hit that in a while, so I pretty well kept it even for the next 4 years. The county is another big expense, is just the audit, something we have to do, mandated thing we have to do, heading down. Another one you'll see here is a little bit kind of sticks out is the marketing number of $9,000. We are putting some effort into redoing our website. design. We're splitting it probably equally 3 ways between the county, the EDC, and the IDA. So, okay. We did have a contract with Finger Lakes Works with their workforce development. That went away this year, so you won't see a $10,000 bonus budget going forward. This was our last year for that. And then the D&O liability insurance is estimated about $20,000, probably $19,500 coming up. I think next time we'll see the bill on that next time we meet. And legal expense has been fairly consistent with that 18 through the remainder of the 4 years. So that shows if we do hit our revenue projections of $300,000, expenses are pretty constant. So I think we'll probably come in around 140. You'll see that number consistent throughout the 4 years, giving us agency excess of in the neighborhood of $170,000. Okay, and that's the first green line. Those green lines will come into play as we go further into the package. Any questions so far? So we've just finished the agency. Okay.
Are we proposing the 24 budget or a 4-year budget?
We actually proposed a 24 budget. We have to do it for everything we're doing here, like even the form is mandated by the state.
I'm just thinking if we're gonna go to if Ryan's gonna go to the county and say, you know, the case we're making is that the airport's gonna bankrupt us, don't be aggressive on the top line with agency fees for everything that you just described.
Okay, let's talk about this when we finish.
Okay.
Okay, because okay. All right, so that's the agency. So now the next one is the airport. A little more detailed. It's going to highlight a few things. For the revenues, we go through the financials on a month-to-month basis, so you kind of know what the hangars and the private hangars and such are. So now you get the fuel sales commissions. You'll notice that it went up a lot. We're now getting 5% versus what we were getting 1% prior years. So that number is up significantly. So we're estimating around 40,000 this year. Might go a little bit higher, but we feel comfortable with these numbers. And the reason why we didn't increase that, because right now our FBO contract ends at the end of 2024. So we'll see what happens after that. So we're going to keep it right where it is. The rest expenses, let me see, insurance, I'm not going to go through each one. They kind of, they're very stagnant. And then you hit the airport FBO services. If you recall, we just signed a contract this year. It's estimated, well, it won't estimate, it'll be $177,727 for the end of this year. And then it goes up to $216,075. We kept that number flat going forward into the next 3 years, even though we don't have a contract. We'll estimate that that's what it's going to cost us. It could be more, it could be less. AWOS expense, we just got a quote. We know what that's going to be fixed at $4,600. Professional liability, that went way down. We had some legal, as you all are aware, we've had some legal expenses this year with a tenant out there. That's now gone. History, we foresee the bill is dropping down significantly. For years, we had this number at 0, and it was 0. So we're going to keep 5 in there for now. Just to clean up a few things, special district taxes are taxes that we cannot evade. Marketing, etc., $1,500. So we do have a contingency on here. We used to carry about a $20,000 contingency. We knocked that down a lot this year. We think that working with airport, the FBO and the staff out there, we'll have ourselves. The whole idea is to get more on a fixed rotation of fixing things and maintenance and blade, all that kind of stuff. So that's the whole idea. Is the reason why we've kind of got lower numbers there.
Jump in on that one?
Sure.
So we met with our FBO, and airport manager and staff met 2 weeks ago?
Yep.
2 weeks ago?
2 weeks.
And brought in Rich to go over kind of the look back for his first busy season, right? Like Michael said, we didn't bring him in until the end of March. And we wanted to, as a matter of fact, when he signed the contract, we all agreed that in October we would get together and talk about it as a staff, good things, bad things, what can we improve on, things like that. some customer service pieces to it, but not a lot. But the one thing that we did, request, and he has, given us a whole host of information, we wanted to make sure that what we had on hand for the board to have, and I think I shared it with the airport committee, and I'm happy to share it with the whole board. We wanted a policy and procedure manual for everybody that works on the property. So we know what it looks like when somebody lands their plane. What are they supposed to be getting? That way we have a little bit more control, so Bob knows what should be happening so he can see it. In that, we would also be provided what all of his employees are gonna be trained on. So we know what trainings they're supposed to have and what they need. The other thing we asked for, and this goes right to what Michael's point was, it was frustrating to not have a normal maintenance schedule from somebody who, a large part of his contract is the maintenance piece of all the equipment out there. And you all get bills in front of you almost, on a monthly basis on top of the $216 next year for lawnmower blades and this and that and the other. And we were trying to reduce what that would look like and also be able to predict it a little bit more. So he did go back and sat with Bob and went through what the normal maintenance stuff would be. And that way we have a more regular schedule for maintenance on the equipment that's out there. What we also asked him for is because he said that there's some things that he's bringing out to the property now that aren't ours, which is, there's not a lot out there that isn't owned by the IDA, but the stuff that isn't owned by us, we should know what that is. That way we can make sure that we're not buying parts for stuff that isn't ours. So that is all stuff that he provided for us, safety manuals and things like that, just normal things that we didn't have when we had a relationship with Mercy Flight to do this job. This is a big number for us to swallow, and we wanted to make sure that we formalized some of this stuff so we knew what was supposed to be happening out there, and Bob could keep an eye on it, and we could keep track of it as a board on the expense side. So that's it.
The county is very regimented on their maintenance, having expensive time.
That's the other piece of it too. If we're going to move this asset over to county
They're
operations,
gonna want to.
they've got to go a long way to get to where they would go through a committee schedule and, ask for funds to buy things. So this is, a good step in the right direction.
Okay. So bringing us total expense-wise, we're down to, like, if you look at estimated for 2023, 411,000, and that kind of cuts down a little bit. We got rid of the trailer, kind of reeled in a few expenses. Running 378, somewhere in there, 380 zone for the next couple of years. First green one here, excess, or airport excess or deficit. We're going to run a deficit of projected for the end of this year of 363,000, a little bit less than that going forward. Okay. So the next numbers on the bottom there, let me see, they got the updated ones, right? Yes, good. So Friday we got a phone call from our engineering firm, and we kind of redid our capital improvement. So the capital improvement here is stuff that most of this is funded by the state and the feds. Okay, so there's a program out there, we're part of it. We're allocated $150,000 every year to do certain projects. Obviously, the projects are a lot more than that, and I think there's a listing of those. Yeah, on the back. We'll talk about that in a second. So these are the anticipated projects. The last one in this line is capital project. Right here, where we have 65 and then 70. Those are like internal things that might be to replace a lawnmower or something to that effect. I mean, it adds up, but this is kind of like where we've got the capital purchases. We did it over a couple of years. They wanted $75,000 a year. That wasn't going to work. We'll explain why later. So basically, we're saying here the estimated of this particular capital improvement. When you look at our financial statements on a month-to-month basis, we have a lot of capital expenses. This is what it all is. This is where all this stuff is capitalized. So this is most money in here is coming from the state or the federal.
That 65,000 number for 2024, what was requested was, we have to fix cracks in the pavement. And off over time. It's gotten to the point where we really can't put that off anymore. So that's what, we're planning on doing with that money for this year.
Yes, and the reason why we put this isn't truly an income statement type of thing. This just shows the cash that we're spending. And we've been doing this for 10 years, I've been doing it anyway. So this kind of shows what the cash deficit will be at the end of, if our capital projects are fully expended, okay? So you can see that we're looking at about 374 plus some dollars, we'll talk about it a little bit. 442 next year, 785 next year. And it's not so much that we may not spend, for an example, 442,000, but we are going to commit 442,000. That's an important figure right there. So we'll show you that in a second. The last one is depreciation. That's the non-cash expense. That it's estimated about 560,000. We kind of keep that going across. It's fairly consistent. Most of the stuff we buy is a pretty long 15 to, we got some things out there that are 50 years. The runways and such like that get a pretty long thing. So we're looking at airport access for this year of 2023, about 937,000, and then $1 million, a little bit more than that. A lot of this is driven by the CIP. So, okay, the next page summarizes 2024 for you folks. This is pretty much what we're approving is this page. When we go to Paris, both these numbers are combined. This kind of breaks it apart and shows you, what the two numbers are. So the proposed budget, the 100 for the first profit and loss, the agency. You've got a total, as again, all these numbers will back the first two pages. You'll be able to find these on the first two pages. Is 174. The airport excess / deficit for the book value is $1,260,265. Okay, and then through the years, Andy has beat me up, and so we've kind of put these numbers on here just to kind of show the different ways of looking at what the previous two pages say. So the first one is the airport operating excess deficit. So this is without depreciation and net capital expenses. So if we said no more capital improvements, forget the depreciation, it's not cash, what's it running us? Between the two funds, it's running us $329,655, okay? The airport without depreciation is just basically saying, if we did the net capital, okay, we went ahead and did the capital expenses, how much money are we going to spend? $442,655, and that's for the airport. And then the bottom here just kind of adds them both together. So, turn to the next page.
This is why Michael said we'll get there, and you probably will understand that we may not have to paint a bleak picture, because this is the page that already puts it there.
Right. So our first round, we did the numbers. Basically, I kind of took, numbers as of 9/30, and we worked them on through. Okay. So the bottom line here is the first time we did through this, that bolded comment right, or column right there that says 66,880, that number was significantly in the red. So there's no way we could sit here as a board and say, yep, we're going to approve this budget. Yes, we may not be significantly in the red 4 years from now, but our commitment to that red number would have been there. We just would not have had the cash eventually to do it. So we did go back and redid the CIP quite a few times, as late as late Friday. We were working with the engineers, and that is the next page that we got here. So this is our plan right here. Okay, so that's our plan CIP. And I believe you've seen this in the past. This goes on. We have McFarland Johnson turns around. They kind of put this together for us. What they do is the yellow component there is, you think this is where the money, you'll notice on the first column, we got 150, this is rounded to the thousands, by the way, 150,000. There's our $150,000 a year. We got some rules. You can carry that forward 3 years, so you might want to save some of that up for a bigger project, et cetera, et cetera. So these are some of the projects. I don't know if you want to go through them, but these are some of the projects that we have slated. We did have to move a lot of them down to this final year, which is outside the 4 years that we're doing. And of course, we've got a lot of time. I will say this, at no time do we ever have to do a project. This is just the CIP. It carves money out for us, earmarks it for us. We're not going to know what our true CIP is in probably for a couple months. So, you know, they got to approve it. And they're doing a lot of airports, obviously, throughout the country. So these are the numbers that we were wrestling with to get, at least try to maintain a positive number at the end here. So we ended up doing that, just barely. But however, I think a number you got to notice here is we started today with $1.4 million, and at the end of 4 years, if we hit our budget numbers, okay, that's another thing. If we hit our revenue pieces, if we don't, that 66 goes away real quick. Okay, so these are things to think about. Again, we're only really approving the first year budget, but we do have to show projections for the next 4 years.
When we talked to the FAA about the capital improvement plan, they did say that we had an awful lot going on for an airport our size. So they said that it would be worth kind of moving it around a little bit, and more right sizing. They said that, you know, you may want to consider a cycle where you're planning a project, you're building a project, and then you're taking a year off. These are things that the airport committee and the finance committee is probably going to have to consider moving forward. One way to look at just the 2024, the 2 blocks in red. So just to give you an idea, that first line there, NPR, that's whatever the scoring is for the FAA. Anything under a 70 is probably not going to get funded, so there's a good chance that we're not going to score high enough to do those projects anyway. But like Michael said, we won't know that for a little while. So this plan is pliable. The biggest thing for us to have is at least these projects listed, so we can move them up and down as we see fit. It's tough to get something on the plan. That's why we have them on there. You know, obviously there's some things in here that we talked a bunch about the terminal building that you'll see is still on there. We asked for a 2-year extension on that project, so we didn't throw it overboard, because we wanted to make sure it was still on there in case we change our mind over those 2 years. One thing, and I think, Michael, you were able to take that out, right? We talked about sewer.
Yeah, they moved it down to the next year because we didn't get, that's too bad. That was the greatest thing I thought was on this whole document with the sewer, and that was one thing we didn't get.
Yeah, I read the article, and we got the letter. You'll see it I think it's in the packet later on, but I'll break the news to you now. We did not get money from the state DOT to do upgrade or the sewer out to that place. The Finger Lakes, I think there was 4 or 5 projects funded. Seneca County for hangars, Genesee County for hangars, Williamson for electrical vehicle plug-in stations, Rochester Airport for something, I don't remember what, Syracuse Airport for, I believe it was snow removal equipment. Tompkins got some money too. We did not get any money. It was a good application. We illustrated the need for it, just like they told us to, and we also illustrated that the airport wouldn't be the only thing that benefited from sewer being extended out that road. We weren't funded, so we moved it down the list. We'll try again next year, and probably maybe the county will.
Good, Mike?
Yeah, any questions or?
Any questions on the budget?
On this particular slide, the green box, it says local.
That's our cost. So the green is our cost, yellow is federal, and whatever you want to call it, orangish thing, that's the state.
Is our cost a formula, or is it sort of?
It is a very typical project would be, $9 90% federal, 5% state, 5% us. You look up there, there's a lot of different programs in there, so it might waver a little bit, but pretty much, I think the largest we've ever paid was 11% once. That was a while ago.
Between 5 and 10%. Big deal.
Yeah, that's why, like, when you look at this, I'm always just looking at our cost. So again, this, you could get a little messy if you know, for some reason. What's really nice about this too is, at least the federal portion, we're paid. We submit any big bills we submit with typically within 4 to 5 days cashes in our bank. State, completely different question. So that could take months. And what they do is they go up to 90% of the project, both federal and state, and then they wait till the project is completely cleared, everybody stamps their approval, and then we get the final 10%. How the state works, and the federal government.
Any other questions on the budget? I don't really have a question, but I'd like an opportunity to address my fellow board members. Okay, you want to vote on the budget first and then go to the next question that was on the table that we've left hanging out there and then do the discussion, or would you like? Which discussion does it pertain to, I guess, is a better question.
This pertains to the budget.
Okay.
So just, you know, this has been a subject near and dear to my heart. And I feel the same way you do, Brian, that part of what we do here is to look out for the taxpayers. And this, to me, has been a problem that we've kicked down the road for a while. And I compliment Ryan, because he's, on short order, stepped up and said, no, we're going to have to do something. But, and it may not be totally clear based on Michael's description of the tough meeting that we had, but, you know, we moved capital projects out so that 5 to 10% portion got moved out, right? And the reality is maybe we didn't have the bandwidth to complete those projects anyway. But we took those steps so that we didn't run out of money before 2007. Those options don't exist for us next year, in my opinion. There's a, you know, call it a hockey stick, whatever you want to call it. There's too much to push out again, right? And does the county have to take over the airport next year? No. But we're not going to be able to do the budget a year from now, in my opinion, if we don't have a commitment for what they will do. So, and that is why I'm not as comfortable saying, yeah, go talk to those guys. We need a commitment for something significant by the end of 2023, or sorry, 24, or we're going to be sitting here 1 year from now saying, now what are we going to do? That's why I said what I said.
So, it's an interesting point, because there is another way, that you could take as a board, and as the owner of the property to help us over time. It's less attractive, but basically you would minimize all costs out of it. It would be a bare bones. You would have no manager. You could probably have an FBO out there and tell him, look, whatever money you keep from pumping fuel is what you get to put into it, and no capital. That's the way this relationship between the IDA and the airport could continue. That would be our only alternative if there wasn't, buy-in from the supervisors.
Not to interrupt, but my understanding is the FAA is not, this is what Zach said to me. They do not help you build an airport, right? We have a $15 million airport that they gave us. They are not gonna let you not do capital projects, at least to the extent that depreciation. I mean, you gotta maintain the airport.
So, that's what I'm
Yeah.
getting, is you'd have to do the very bare bones to keep
The bare bones capital project.
And the capital stuff would be based out of the federal aviation bill. We could continue to just push that money into, you know, whatever it is that we needed to do to keep the airport running. You know, to answer the big question on what it would cost the county and or the IDA in order just to say, I'm out, it's $25 million. It's not 15, it's 25. That's the.
And the 25 million goes to who?
Back to the
That should be
FAA.
So are we so right now, the IDA owns it, and, the county has no legal liability? None. So what happens if the county, I'm just saying generally speaking.
Sure.
So the county says, no, we're not gonna do anything, whatever, and, at some point in time, which is proven by the budget, you're bankrupt, then what happens?
Yeah, it's not much as a negotiation, because one way or the other, to your point, the county's owning this airport at some point in time, or they're writing a $25 million check. I'm unclear, and Barry, you might be able to help me with this. I don't know if the IDA can go bankrupt, legally speaking.
No, there's no sort of legal statute that would allow an IDA to declare bankruptcy. The concept, though, is that you just have to slash expenses basically to meet revenues, to whatever extent that is.
Right, and the other issue that would come up would be, who the hell would work with us? Right? You know, there would be nobody coming to the county for any of this if we went to a spot where it was just to keep the heat and lights on. So the Board of Supervisors, and I have to illustrate this to them, because they don't know. I mean, they don't know. So this is part of the discussion, and that's why I said I was comfortable with what the supervisor and what Brian were talking about, with me going and at least engaging with them initially, because that to me signals I have to go through the committee process, which at first would be planning and environmental quality and ways and means, to present to them, this is our budget, this is our problem, we need help, and then coming back to you and with at least the information that this is what they sent back to me. It's harder to direct me to make an ask when I'm not 100% sure that I'm right. I'm telling you that the minimum is airport operation, but I don't know if that's the right answer, because, you know, there was, thinking about it this weekend, I'm not sure that it shouldn't be the whole ball of wax, because eventually we're just kicking that can down the road too. And I also don't know what the relationship would look like, because that's something that has to be talked about too. We're not just, I mean, I can't just say, we're out of money, here's the airport. We would have to decide what department it would end up in. That's a discussion for the administrator and the Board of Supervisors. We would have to discuss, if the relationship was that we took over, you know, kind of managing the CIP and they did operations, they would want more buy-in as to what we were doing too, right? And so they may be faced with a spot where they're just gonna say, you know what, just do it. I've asked Zach to start looking into IDA-owned airports. There's not a lot of them. This is not an unusual situation for one entity to have to hand it over to the other one. It is unusual, but it's not unheard of.
I actually don't think there is another idea.
Yeah, and the reason is it costs a lot of money. We're talking about $500,000-$600,000 in an agency that might bring in $300,000. Like, eventually, this was always gonna happen. There aren't a lot of big projects that I can see. Now, maybe the state calls tomorrow and gives us $14 million for Fast New York money to improve the Acusta site, and Acusta gets CHIPS money, and then, you know, we're flush for years because they just put, you know, $500 million into that site. I can't sit here and tell you that's gonna happen. I think it's probably more likely that the state calls or sends, well, they won't call, they'll send an email and say, yeah, we're not giving you any money. Because, well, that's what they did to us today. But, you know, so there's two things here. We have to pay attention to what we're trying to do as the revenue piece and what we're trying to do on the expense side. I think the county will understand that that's the ask, because the other part that we don't talk about when we talk about the IDA funding the airport is that the best use of our time? Because we exist to fund the airport. Period. That isn't.
That's what we've become.
Yes. And that is the argument that I think would probably resonate more with the Board of Supervisors when we go through the laundry list of all the things that we've talked about and started the conversation with and gotten them to a part where they understand that we have to do more with housing, they understand we have to do more with workforce development, they understand we have to do more with infrastructure. By the way, we can't get involved in that game because we're funding the airport. So I'm happy with that marching order.
Point I wanted to make is we got 1 year. In my opinion, we got a year. And that's that I think is the message that the board should be sending to Ryan is go have the talk, but
I think Ryan already knows this.
I think he knows it.
This is not, any of this is not a surprise to him. And unless you have a specific recommendation for a specific charge, he needs the flexibility. He knows what the end game is here, whether it's a year or 2 years. He already knows that. That's not new news.
If you've been sitting here for the past 5 years, when
It doesn't matter.
having this conversation.
I realize that, but I'm dealing with the reality of today. Today is Ryan needs to have a conversation with the county administrator.
Yes.
He has to have a conversation with whoever the county administrator, whether it's the airport committee, Ways and Means. He's got all the numbers that he needs to present. We have a problem to fix collectively, and the fixing of the problem is immediate. And maybe that's been done before, maybe you brought it up before, that's not the point. The point is, he's saying now that he believes he needs to go to the board and to the administration. He's got all the numbers he needs. The numbers don't lie. There's no subjective analysis here. The numbers are the numbers are the numbers.
And to that point, I would actually feel better if I had a little bit of run. Because if you give me a little bit more run, because if you give me a specific charge and I go to to PEQ and say, the IDA would like you to do X, and then they say, nope. And then
Discussion's over.
I'm done. If I get I just want the permission to start having the conversation. I know what the timeline is. I'm well aware. If we don't get this thing done in the next year, 18 months at the very outstretches, then a lot of us are going to be on a pretty long vacation come 2026, 2027 timeframe. So I get it. I just wanted you to empower me to start having those negotiations. And I didn't feel like I knew we've had the conversation a lot, but I didn't feel like I had what I needed from the board to address the Board of Supervisors and say, look, the IDA wants me to do this. Chris, tell me how we're gonna do it.
I want the record to reflect that I said we got 1 year because we just keep kicking it down the road and let's, that's all we got a year, right?
Ryan, I believe you need to county administrator first before you go to PEQ.
He's well aware of this. We've included him in every step of the way. So this is
just a formal process of saying, hey, we're serious.
Yep.
Okay.
It carries a hell of a lot more weight if I say the IDA wants you to be involved than if it says the department head knows that he's going broke. That's different.
All right.
We have a motion.
So we have a motion and a second, and we've had a discussion. Any further discussion on the first question of sending Ryan to the Board of Supervisors to tell him
To the county
where we're at?
administrator.
County administrator. County
At all.
administrator.
Yep, gotcha.
No further? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none.
Thank you.
Carried.
I got it, not the budget.
All right, now we're into the budget. Any further discussion on the budget?
One question. Does the county have to approve our budget once we approve it?
No.
No.
Any other questions?
Me.
All those in favor on the budget?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none? Carried.
Yeah. You just call.
We just
Okay,
did.
all right,
We just did that.
I just wanted to make sure.
Just did that. Okay, on to administrative. Minutes.
I'll move.
I have a motion from Dan,
Second.
second by Brian.
I wanna go home.
Any discussion on the minutes? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none? Carried.
Mike, you know, whoever said, did you get a motion and second on the budget, might be correct. I'm not sure I heard any.
Bridget, did we get a motion second?
I was gonna watch the recording, because
I don't think
had
we
that.
did.
Not on the
I'll move the budget.
All right,
Okay.
Andy moved budget. Second Brian. Any discussion this time? No. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Hearing none? Carried. All right. Now we'll go on to the minutes.
I already moved.
We already did that. Did we do that? Well,
Yeah,
let's go on.
we did that.
Let's go on. Did we vote on it too?
Yep.
We did.
All right, good.
Get a little slap happy, eh?
All right, so let's go to invoices for payment.
All right, Bob's not here, gonna pinch it, basically, as you can see, we got a couple, we're just doubling up on a few of these, bills up top here. Our G&E are the three that we normally do. There's really nothing here, we had, an appraisal report, and I gotta be honest, I apologize, I forget what that was for. The appraisal,
For the land lease.
was that the land lease?
Yep.
All right, so, and what else we got here? We have just one invoice here to McFarland that we'll get 95% reimbursement on. Lease dispute, as you can see, we're getting smaller on our lease dispute invoices from Underberg. They should go away completely. Gemco Properties. Key thing here too, final payment. If you notice that $1,750, the trailer is out of here. So we are now trailer free. And that's it. And then down on the agency side of it, Ms. Berry, we have third quarter mileage. So we've got Philadelphia Insurance. That's our liability for the IDA. That's actually down from, I think, 18 something last year. So that actually what went down. It was a nice surprise. Some master agreements, Underberg and Kessler, we're just getting caught up on those. Loki Brill those are the labor monitoring invoices for the projects we have out there right now. MRB Group and the IDA is just $40,000 is just to cover the invoices from the airport. Any questions on those?
Motion to pay the bills.
So moved.
Motion to Ryan,
Second.
seconded by Mark. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Carried. Any questions on the reports or financial statements that you received?
Just wanted to highlight again that we didn't get money from the state of New York. Thanks very much for sewer upgrades.
Talk to your legislators.
I will, oh, trust me.
All right, motion to accept.
Not those guys.
Motion to accept the reports.
I'll make that.
I have a motion from Randy,
Second.
seconded by Mark. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, carried. Before we go into the department update, I think we need to go to an executive session.
I don't have a department update.
You don't have it in the department?
No,
Then
I
we just
think
need to
we-
go into
we
executive
beat that to
session
death.
to discuss a legal problem, or legal issue, not problem,
Yeah.
issue.
We need a motion for that before I start the order.
Motion to go in executive session.
A motion,
Second.
seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
We had to go back online or make the motion.
We're good.
I'm doing this one right. I missed the one.
We're good.
I don't know. Must have been out awake at that point in time. All right, so, coming out of executive session, we had a discussion. Ready for the motion?
Motion
I need a motion to
drop all
drop legal
matters,
proceedings, against CAC.
Yep.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion.
Second.
I probably worded better than that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, carried.
Thank you.
No department update, so we could do a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Don't get up. We're gonna go open up under LDC. And we'll call the order under LDC, and we'll get right into approval in minutes.
I'll move the minutes.
Have a motion on the minutes.
Second.
Second by Ryan. Any discussion on the minutes? All those in favor of their approval?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, carried. Budget. Mike, get us
Real
there.
quick, all right, so, here's the budget, pretty much the same, the only change this year is I added a contract with Ontario County. We kind of taken that away when we had promised the IDA $200,000. We took that away last year, so I'm gonna reinstate the contract with the county. It'll be a fixed amount of $3,000. If we incur more time, then we'll pay on a hourly basis after that. So otherwise, that's it.
Budget's pretty cut and dry.
Yep.
Have a motion for the acceptance of the budget.
So moved.
Have a motion from Brian,
Second.
seconded by Mark. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, carried. Bills for payment.
Real quick, 20% of QuickBooks cost to IDA. If you recall, I think it's gonna cost us around $800 a year to maintain QuickBooks. We're splitting that 40% EDC, 40% IDA, and 20% for the LDC. This is the 20%.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, carried. Financial statements, Mike? Short and sweet.
There you go. Pretty much, you just saw it on the spreadsheet. Those are the exact same numbers. We're not anticipating any activity beyond this. We'll have unrestricted total equity as of September of $215,000, and that's it.
Motion to accept.
I'll make that.
Motion from Andy,
Second.
second by Mark. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, carried. Motion to adjourn.
I'll make that too.
Are you sure?
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Outstanding. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Suzanne, I think you had that.
I didn't,
Have a good night, Ed.
what I was trying to get at, sorry.
Dad?
I'm never gonna say it out loud because I think there's